Please welcome the CEO of GitHub, Nat Friedman.
All right. Good morning. Welcome to GitHub Universe. It is so fantastic to be here with all of you today in beautiful San Francisco. I want to welcome all the developers who come to GitHub Universe from all over the world, including our enterprise customers, the students who are attending, and the GitHub campus experts. If you're out there, I can see some of you from here. Shout out to you. Thanks for coming, and to our partners as well. And I want to extend a special welcome to all the open source contributors and maintainers for all the work that you do. Let's give these folks a big round of applause. We owe them a lot. All right. Well, it's an exciting time to be together because 2019 has been an incredible year for the GitHub community. In fact, now there are over 40 million developers using GitHub to build software. 40 million. And more developers are choosing GitHub every day than ever before. Just in the last year, over 10 million new developers joined GitHub and started contributing to projects on GitHub. We also have more enterprise teams using GitHub than ever before, with more than 3 million organizations using GitHub, including more than half of the Fortune 100. And these developers are all incredibly busy. Every day, developers around the world make millions of contributions to projects on GitHub. And you can see them here. This is a visualization that we created of 30 days of contributions to github.com. And on this globe, each little pulse of light, each dot, represents a separate contribution to open source made by one person somewhere on Earth. It's kind of an amazing thing to look at and think about, because there's all these people from all around the world, different locations, with different backgrounds, who come together to solve problems together. And maybe in many cases, the only thing that they have in common is that they all want to solve the same problem. They do it together in public. And so the work of all these people is the reason we're all here today. We owe a lot to that. In fact, today, 99% of all new software projects have open source dependencies. So whether you're working at a big company or in a startup, or if you're a scientist or a researcher or a student, you rely on open source, and you rely on the people who build it all around the world, strangers that you don't know. Every line of code that you write is actually built on the work of these thousands of other people. And so you can kind of think about it this way. When you import a new open source library into your source code, you're not just adding code to your project. In a way, you're actually extending your team, right? Each time you type import, you invite a whole new group of developers to your team, and you actually give them commit access to your production. In a way, you give them access to what you're doing, thousands of strangers. But when we think about software development these days, we still have this image, this stereotype of the solitary developer, right? Alone, in a dark room, probably introverted, them in the code, them in the screen. You sort of slide pizza under the door and code comes out, gets uploaded to the cloud. But in reality, software development is deeply collaborative. We all rely on this giant global team of developers to do our work. In a way, it's the world's biggest team sport. We're all a part of this interconnected community. And this collaborative model is actually better, right? Because it doesn't matter how big your company is, how many developers you employ, no single company can outcompete the millions of open source developers out there working in public. And so we all have to work together. And that's why we can say today that open source has won. We should just take a moment to recognize this, where we are, this world we've created. Over the last 25 years, open source has gone from this academic, almost fringe activity to powering the infrastructure of modern civilization. If you told someone 20 years ago that by 2020, the dominant paradigm for software development would be strangers volunteering for free online, and that everyone would just download their code and put it in almost every product, they'd say, you're crazy. That's not going to happen. Software is written by big professional companies. But that's the world we're in now. Every time you pull your phone out of your pocket to use an app or visit a website, or in many cases, just if you have a Nissan or a GM or many other cars, start your car, open source is part of making that happen. And so this is the world we built, and it's our responsibility to take care of it because it's only going to get bigger. In fact, Running our numbers, we predict that by 2025, there will be over 100 million developers on GitHub. And the complexity of these ecosystems scales with Metcalfe's law, so it's going to be a big, crazy world. We have to build the systems, the processes, the norms now to support all of that. And so today, at this conference, we're going to talk about the work we're doing at GitHub in 3 areas. We're going to talk about how GitHub helps developers take their work all the way to production, from code to cloud, about the work that we're doing on the core experience of writing code and collaborating on GitHub, and we're going to talk about the investments we're making in the continued success and prosperity of the open source community. Tomorrow morning, we had a little too much to fit into today's keynote, but tomorrow morning we're going to be talking about the work we're doing to secure software development, the open source supply chain. How can we make GitHub not just the best place to produce open source code, but the safest place to consume it? And I think you're going to really find that talk interesting, so don't miss it. And you'll also get to hear from a number of our partners. OK, to start us off, with Code to Cloud, to tell you how we've added, with GitHub Actions and GitHub Packages, a complete DevOps platform to GitHub, please welcome Dana Lawson. Dana?
Thanks, Nat. I am so excited to be here today to tell you all about how we're bridging the gaps in the software development lifecycle. The GitHub engineering team has been hard at work since the last universe when we introduced Actions. And since then, we've also introduced a little thing called Packages. In a previous life as an SA, NA, DA, LMNOP, now a VP, we all have felt the pain of getting our code in production. And we wanted to do it reliably, systematically, because if it touches production, it is production. And now, thanks to GitHub Packages and GitHub Actions, we've enabled some pretty incredible workflows codified inside repositories on GitHub. I think it's a game changer because as a DevOps engineer at heart, and will always be, this was one of the areas that was just so hard with all those disparate systems to bring them together. So I'm really, really proud of the overwhelming response we've gotten from our community. So let's dive in a little bit about Actions if it's new to you. Code to Cloud is our complete DevOps workflow made possible by these 2 new features. Earlier this year, we introduced CI and CD. And with the reception of those products, we shared some really inspirational code. If you're new to Get Actions and Packages, I'm going to get you up to speed real quick. But before I do that, I wanted to let you all know that starting today, right now, it's available to everyone. That's right. You all can get your Actions out there. So what does Actions do for you? Well, you can do matrix builds. That means you can do different operating systems, Linux, Macs, Windows, with different versions of your code in one click. Well, if you set it up that way. Obviously, I can't, but my team can. Live searchable logs, so you can see where you have those breaks in your build systems. And my favorite's the built-in secret store. It's always a pain to try and get those secrets in when you're trying to push your code out to production. But now having it all in one place, it just makes it so much easier. And what about GitHub Packages? It's like the peanut butter and jelly of this amazing sandwich for your code to cloud experience, right? Good, people like peanut butter and jelly still. It's available for public and private repositories. We support NPM, Docker, NuGet, and some others. It works with Actions or any CI that you already have implemented, which is awesome. And we also give you those package analytics so you know where that package came from, who wrote it, and who's using it, and where it's at. Now, the best part of Actions in our code to cloud workflow is to apply all the real-life situations you're bound to encounter. And some of our community has created some of the most important actions to date that I'm about to tell you about. So get your notebooks out, because you're going to need this one. That's right, an action to order you a pizza. Because I don't know about you, being the lone developer, I needs my pizza. But here's my favorite action that's been created. That's right, you can now use this action to change all the pictures in your repository to my favorite actor, Nick Cage. Have y'all actually used that one? It's awesome. But let me get serious for a minute. All of these open source projects that you're seeing here are using GitHub Actions to power their CI and CD and their general automation. The problems that every team has encountered and are faced by millions more people all over the world are the ones that these teams have encountered. And we all have to get our code into production because that's what we do it for, to share it with the world. And now, some of us do this multiple times a day. Million times a month are we deploying, because that is what our customers and our people need. So, a couple of cool companies. I am a huge Pinterest fan, believe it or not. I have a whole dinosaur board. If y'all want to go check it out, look for me. It's there. But just take Pinterest, for instance. They were able to reduce their build time from 80 minutes to 10 with the use of GitHub Actions and packages. And it's just incredible how you can take and connect your workflow in any way that makes sense for you and your business. Like I said, GitHub being the ecosystem and the interconnected community, it's not just about the open source projects. These amazing partners have also built and shared their actions for us to use. So you don't have to start from scratch. And so take a look to go see what you can already reuse, because that's what it's about when we do code. It is the ultimate team sport. It's sharing our mind share. But don't take my word for it. To show you more about actions and packages live, let me introduce my friend and colleague, Jeremy.
Thanks, Dana. So who here is ready to jump in and see a live demo of Actions? All right. So what I have here today is a repo, and I've gone ahead and set up a Node module in here. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to get started with CI/CD and a bunch of different other workflows with GitHub Actions. So as you heard today, everybody's going to see this Actions tab, and you can just go ahead and click on it right there. I'm going to click New Workflow. One of the things that you'll notice is we've automatically detected that this is using JavaScript as its primary language. So we have a set of starter workflows to make it really easy for you to get started. In this case, we're suggesting two of them. One of them is to build and test a Node.js project. This could be an app, a module, a web service you're deploying. Or another one to do CD, which will deploy to GitHub packages as well as NPM. But obviously, GitHub cares about a lot of languages beyond just JavaScript and Node. So we have starter workflows to help you get started with just about anything. We have support for any language, any platform, and any cloud. So if you need to be able to deploy to Google Cloud, to AWS, or to Azure, we have easy workflows to help you get started and get those deployments going. If you're using other languages like Rust, Python, Ruby, Go, we have support for all of those as well. If you click here, you can see the tens of templates that we have for just about every single language you can imagine out there. And these are actually all open source, and we've already had people contributing to these templates as well. But GitHub Actions is more than just CI/CD. One of the great things about it is you can automate any event that happens on GitHub. So it could be maybe a new issue created. You want to go ahead and have an automation kickoff and look to determine who that issue should be assigned to, or to automatically label it. Maybe you want to close stale issues. Maybe you want to greet new contributors to your repository. We have a set of workflows to help you get that going. And GitHub Actions is really the glue that connects all these experiences together. And it's not just events that happen on GitHub. It's events that happen with any other tool that integrates with GitHub. So maybe Prometheus is generating some health events for you that you then want to kick off a rollback or a redeploy. Again, you can connect that all together with GitHub Actions. So let's scroll back up to the top and actually just get started here with Node. So I'm going to click Set up this workflow. And as you would imagine, we went ahead and created a YAML file directly in your repo, so you can manage all of your CI/CD and configuration right as code. You'll notice that this template gets you set up with a matrix build, as Dana talked about a second ago. I'm testing across multiple different versions of Node. I'm testing on Linux, and then doing what you expect. We check out the code, set up the environment, and run some scripts directly in line. But if you're like me, has anybody ever made a mistake in YAML? Maybe you've gotten the spacing wrong, haven't got it all right. Well, we have come to your rescue. One of the things you'll notice is we've added autocomplete directly into the editor, so you can easily learn our YAML syntax and how to go ahead and edit that. So maybe instead of running directly on a Linux VM, maybe I want to do a container, I can specify my image, and have that all done right there, directly in the editor. But as Dana was saying, we now have over 1,200 actions people have added. And over here on the right-hand side, maybe you don't always want to build it yourself, because we want to stand on the shoulder of giants, just like we do with open source. We want workflows to be the same way. You can go ahead and see many of the different popular actions right here, and go ahead and search for them. Maybe I want to deploy to Kubernetes. You can see there's multiple different actions, different partners, and people have contributed. Maybe I want to use Chrome for headless testing, or I want to deploy an extension to the Chrome store or to Firefox or a WordPress plugin. The community has created tons of extensions to be able to automate all these CI/CD scenarios and a lot more. Maybe just sending a Slack message or sending something off on Twilio. It's all supported right there. And also, we have an easy link to documentation right here, so it's even easier to get started. Let's go ahead and commit this file and start a pull request. So just like you would imagine, as soon as the pull request is created, we have actually automatically gone ahead and kicked off CI, just like you would expect. So the merge box right in your pull request is right there. You can see we're going ahead and queuing up those 3 simultaneous builds, and they're already in progress. So let's go over here, and just like you can have a conversation, I can just go over to this checks tab. And right when I'm there, you'll see live streaming logs directly in GitHub. Come on. There we go. You can see we have emoji, we have syntax highlighting, everything that you expect. Maybe if there was a failure, I want to copy a link right to this line and share it with someone. That makes it really easy to go do that. We have search directly in there as well if I want to search through all my logs. And I can see all these jobs that quickly pass because we have really fast hosted runners that are free for all public repos. Now let's go over and look at a little bit more complicated setup here. That was kind of a starter setup. I'll go over to this other one. This is the same project. I've just kind of built a larger CI/CD workflow in it. One of the things you'll notice is, again, like we talked about before, you can have multiple different events. So in this case, I'm looking at a pull request that's targeting a master branch. You have lots of different filtering options on here, whether you want to include branches, exclude branches, have matching specific patterns. Down below here, I have a couple different jobs. So I have this build job that's kicking off a matrix, but this matrix is even larger. So it's not just testing across multiple node versions. It's multiplying that by all these different operating systems as well. So I'll actually have 12 different builds kicked off simultaneously. Each one of these operating systems will have 3 different builds. So now you can get that full parallel test coverage all at once right on GitHub. And I'm also happy to announce that we have self-hosted runner support now directly in there. So if you want to be able to run on your own hardware, that is all supported directly in GitHub, and it's completely free of charge because you're already paying for the hardware yourself. Whether or not you want a VM in the cloud, or you're using on-prem hardware, or you just want to run it on a Raspberry Pi, we have support for everything. Down below here, you'll notice that I'm doing a dual publish. So I'm also publishing to NPM, and then I'm also publishing to GitHub packages. And you'll also see here, obviously, I need an auth token if I want to deploy to NPM. So we now have a secret store built directly into every single GitHub repository. And all you have to do is jump over to settings and configure those secrets nice and easily. But now let's look at what happens when I actually go ahead and run this. So let's go over here, and we can go to Actions. And just like you would expect on the Actions tab, once you've been using it for a while, you have lots of different builds that have been triggered, everything that you would expect, great filtering options. Let me jump down here, and you can go ahead and see earlier today I ran all these tests in parallel. They've all deployed successfully. We've also went ahead and published this package. So I'm going to jump over here and show you the package that was deployed. And again, we have GitHub packages. So right next to your code, right next to that repository, you can have your whole CI and then your CD and your packages right there. So in this case, I can click on Fib Tools, and I can see how easy it is to get started. I can see the README. I can see some stats, the different versions, everything that you would expect to see for a package that you're publishing. I can even go up to the organization and see all the different packages that this organization is doing. And we have support for many different languages, just as Dana was saying, whether it be Docker, Maven, Gradle, NuGet, NPM, Ruby gems. You can publish lots of different types of packages and then share that code. But I know one of the things that matters the most to you is you really want to be able to save your time. So I'm also happy to say we now have caching support built directly into GitHub Actions. It's just as easy as going ahead and adding a simple caching action on there. And I always feel like the proof is in the pudding when you look at a real repo. So recently, Rails actually has been using GitHub Actions, and they've switched over to now using caching. So you'll notice up here, takes about 6.5 minutes. Once they added the caching action, now down to 1.5 minutes. It's a 5-minute reduction in their builds. And this isn't just for Ruby. You can cache anything that you need, any packages that you have from any language, binary outputs, anything like that. But finally, it's not just all about packages. You can also deploy to the cloud as well. So what I did here was I created a multi-cloud deployment. As you would expect, I have a couple different workflows that can deploy to Google, Amazon, and Azure, all right there. And then also, right in my pull requests, I can actually see the environments that these are going to as well. So you can get one-click access right to that environment right from the pull request. Then if I go back over to code, you'll notice just like your packages are there, your pull requests, everything else that you expect, you'll notice we now have a set of environments right there as well. So I can see a history, an activity log of all the different deployments that I've done to all my different environments as well. So let's jump back to the slides. So that gives you a quick look at everything that we've been doing recently. Recently we just announced artifact caching, as well as self-hosted runners with ARM support and x86 support as well. With packages, you saw that we now have Gradle packages in addition to everything else I showed. And we also have proxy support. So if you want to port your npm RC directly to GitHub packages, we'll go ahead and look on GitHub packages if there's something. If not, we'll fall back and grab it from npm directly. And if you want to learn more about what's going on with actions and packages, feel free to stay right here in this room. And Samina and I are doing a talk immediately afterward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Jeremy. We are so excited about GitHub Actions and GitHub Packages finally being available. Check it out. Go to your repo. The tab is there. We can't wait to see what you do with it. Now, while we've been hard at work and busy extending GitHub to cover these DevOps workflows over the last year, we've also been really focused on investing in the core daily experience of just coding and collaborating on GitHub. And so to showcase some of the work that the team has been doing, please welcome my colleague, Neha Batra. Neha?
Neha, and I'm the engineering manager of the GitHub Desktop product, which simplifies your daily workflow by helping you visualize your changes and share your code easily. So before I go into that, I kind of want to walk down memory lane with you. So do you remember the first time you learned Git and you had this 5-step recipe? Yeah, I did too, and I actually had a Post-it on my desk just to remember all of the steps that I needed to take. And that was years ago. Now I'm pretty good at Git. I mean, I would hope so as the engineering manager of this product. But what I think is really important is that my coworkers and I are fueled by the fact that from setting up your machine to pushing, it doesn't have to be this difficult. That's why from the moment that you download Desktop, we have a tutorial for you that helps you connect your editor, invites you to clone and add your repository, and then from that point, you get to do what you do best, which is writing your code and gearing up for your commits. So let's take a look at how Desktop lets you commit and push your code without having to type anything into your command line. And this video plays in real time, and so I have to keep up with it. So let's see, wish me luck, all right? OK, so what you're seeing here is that the minute you tab in, you get to see your diff, you get to add the lines that you want to add, you get to add the files that you want to add, and then we have emoji support, and you can write your commit. You can even add a co-author and share that credit. So right here, Amanda's writing 2 commits, and all she has to do is she has to push her code. We push the code, we fetch the latest from your repository, we sync it up, and all you have to do after that is create your pull request, which we have a support for as well. So I know it's hard to see, but in those 30 seconds, I showed you 12 features of GitHub Desktop that aren't built into the Git commit flow. Yeah, isn't that great? We do this for you because as advanced developers, you deserve to save your brain cycles for real problems, not Git problems. And you know what? For your coworker who still has that Git Post-it note on their desk, they deserve the same thing as well. And for your manager who still thinks they're cool and can code, like myself, GitHub Desktop extends my shelf life a little bit longer, and I'll take it. So that was just the Git commit flow, but GitHub Desktop gives you a lot more. So you see these these Git commands that you might be using on a daily basis. These are the magical incantations that you don't have to use anymore in GitHub Desktop because those are built in. So how exciting is that? Yeah. I bet we forgot some of those features, so Twitter, I know you're listening. Just let us know what we missed. So out of those, these are the ones that we shipped in the last 6 months. So yeah, we're busy. We've been listening to your problems, and we're shipping regularly to make sure that your daily experience is better. GitHub Desktop is a GUI that connects Git and GitHub, and we make it simple and efficient. We make it so that when we know that we have millions of users out there, we want to save them a few minutes over time because that really adds up. So we don't just shave off seconds off of each commit. We make sure that you don't end up in that place in the first place. So we're building the experience that you deserve to have, whether you're on a Mac, Windows, or using GitHub Enterprise. And we know that once your code is done and you're ready to gift it out and give it to the world, you want it wrapped, packaged, reviewed, and shipped as fast as possible. So no one wants to spend more time wrapping that gift than on the gift itself, right? So for the folks out there who just want a faster, more efficient way to work every day, this simple, no-hassle gift bag called GitHub Desktop is for you. Did I mention it's free? Because that's exactly how important your daily experience is to us. So check us out, download or upgrade to the latest version, and we're open source, so you can always come and check out our repository. And to you all in the audience, come visit us at the Ask GitHub booth and show us your daily workflow. We'll chat, we'll download it together, and we'll see what your day-to-day could look like on GitHub Desktop. And we genuinely want to know what you think, so come with your thoughts, let us know what you're curious about, and I'll see you there. So GitHub Desktop is just one way that we work to make your daily experience better. But to tell you more about improving the daily experience on github.com, please welcome my colleague, Mario Rodriguez.
Thanks, Neha, and hello, everyone. My name is Mario Rodriguez. I am the lead enterprise product manager. Like all of you, I spend a lot of time navigating within and across GitHub repos, searching for bits of code, finding instances along the way. Now, we can all agree that sometimes finding exactly what you're looking for might be a little bit challenging. Well, let's talk about how we're changing that. So let's start with code navigation. I am in this scientist code base, and imagine I'm exploring it, reading the code. I read really, really fast. I'm a fast learner, just believe me on that. And I get to this piece of code, and I'm like, I wonder how this method is actually being used in this code base. Now, cloning the repo, building it, just to answer that simple question is a drag, and it's really a waste of your time. You know, you want it quick, you want it inline, and you want it in the browser. So what if you could just click on it and right there see, OK, this is the definition of the product, but also final references. So that's right. Starting today, semantic code navigation in your browser, no IDE, no need to clone, no need to build, for all Ruby, Python, and Go repositories. What do you think about that? We're really excited about this. And we're actually doing this for those techies that want to go. We're doing this without having to build your code. It's based on a semantic library that is open source. So amazing. Props to the team to get us this. So really excited about it. So let's do a jump to dev to code search. And in code search, let's be honest, you need great code search. Many times as a developer, you're really looking for a needle in a haystack, and you need quick results with high relevance. So let's take a look at Robbie's On My Seashell repo. You're here, and you know you want to actually find something specific. So what if you press F on your keyboard to actually launch a new search experience? Very simple, very smooth. Let's search for which CSH, because with my accent, that gets tricky. So I'm going to put that in there. And boom, you found it. First try, we get the exact match you're looking for, nothing else. 2 search results instead of dozens of hundreds across the current GitHub search. And I could see that you're a little bit skeptical right now, meaning, is this really better, Mario? You just show me search results, right? So let's contrast it, and then I really expect you to clap, by the way. So these are the results with the old search engine that we had. So 70, same search, 70 actual results back. Highest relevance was what you're seeing in the screen right there. And again, let's go to the new one. New engine, 2 matches, 2 matches. We love you too. Don't worry about it. OK, So our new code search experience supports high relevance with exact string match and option modifiers. It's actually going to go in beta. We're learning more and more, so please sign up, and we'll get you in as soon as possible, but we're really excited about this as well. Okay, now let's switch from individuals to teams, because teams is really where the magic happens. Code reviews are the livelihood of software teams. Around 87 million pull requests got merged on GitHub last year. So as a team, you want to avoid burnout. You want to minimize time to review. You want to minimize time to merge as well. Well, GitHub can now help your teams achieve this with code review assignment. So let's jump back in. So I'm over here in a team. I go to settings, and I go to code review assignment. I enable auto assignment. And then I want to switch my algorithm. I don't like round robin. I'm actually going to go and pick load balancing, mainly because I want to make sure that no one is overtaxed. So I do that, and I click save. So what I'm expected to happen now is next time a PR is assigned to my team, then it should actually route it to the right person and do a load balance. So in this case, I'm going to select that, and boom, it's right there again. Just to highlight a little bit more and zoom in, it went from my actual team to Naomi, and then we removed the team. So all of this is now built natively into GitHub. So what do you say about that? You don't need to install anything else. Just go to your team, set it up, and start using it. Oh, but we're not done yet. You also want to make sure that your PRs don't go and get reviewed in time, and actually your project keeps moving, right? And we got you also covered on that. And to do that, we have a feature called reminders. So again, I go to my team, and in my team, I go to my settings, and instead of assignment, I'm just going to say reminders. I don't have any reminders set up right now. I click on it. I select my Slack channel. Put a couple of other things. We do standards at 10 a.m., so 9 a.m. on the default settings are perfectly fine for me. But I actually do not want all of the repos. I want to actually go ahead and select one of them to be able to do better. So we're going to do an awesome universe demo repo. And then I'm going to press create. And then next day at 9 a.m. in Slack, you're going to get this, which is reminders of your pull requests. What is actually outstanding, how long it is, and who it's assigned to. And now as a team, you're going to be able to review it. Again, this is available natively into the platform, and we're super excited to actually bring it out of beta, so please sign up whenever you get a chance. Thank you. Now, daily experiences also expand to our enterprise customers. In fact, GitHub gets used by over half of Fortune 100s. And we're heavily investing in bringing the best tools, workflows, and open source technologies to those enterprise customers. You saw a little bit of this, actually. You got a glimpse on it, of our razor-sharp focus on enterprise on our satellite conference in May in Berlin. We announced around 10 to 15 features, and we put in beta that were mainly targeting our enterprise customers. And I'm happy to tell you that over the last 6 months, so since May up to today, all of those features have actually gone to general availability. They're all available now to our enterprise customers, which is great. We never done this, and I was actually very surprised I was able to get here today and do that, because we were running on it and all of that, but we made it, so we're really happy about it. And it shows our commitment. It really, we're kind of humble, and it shows our commitment on that, which is, from an enterprise perspective, yes, we have an amazing community, but we got your back in enterprise as well. Okay. So if we fast forward, we also know that we're not done, and we need to deliver. GitHub Enterprise Server is a tier 1 application for many of you, which is mission critical. It cannot go down. So we're also heavily investing in giving you the best tools and technology to administer GitHub Server, which is our on-premises offering, at scale. So things like best-in-class observability and remediation, high availability across zones and sites, so you don't have to be just in one data center, and you could kind of have a logical GitHub spread across. And then cloud-native disaster recovery, because you need that to actually achieve your goals. And with that, I'm also going to announce today our newest release of GitHub Enterprise, which is 2.19. This release focuses on fundamentals, like triage and maintain roles, security with NuGet, as you can see over there, support for dependency graph, and many other developer productivity tools. So Now, everything you heard me say today, so from navigation, search, reminders, will also be available in GitHub Enterprise early next year. And with that, I want to thank you all and turn it over to Becca.
Thanks, Mario. Hey, everyone. I'm Becca, a product manager here at GitHub. And I'm here to talk to you today about notifications. For over a decade, we've been handling notifications of nearly every kind on GitHub. And with 40 million developers doing more than ever on GitHub, we needed to refresh our system so you could more easily distinguish the signal and take action on the work that matters to you. We know managing notifications on GitHub has been all too painful, but that changes today. This is the new notifications experience on GitHub. So how about we dive in and see just how powerful this is? First things first, let's take a look at these notifications. In my notification list, you'll see icons displaying the type of notification being received and their current status. Further to the right, there's a label appended to each item, letting me know exactly why I was being notified. And for those fast-moving conversations, you can see just how much unread activity there is for a single issue or pull request, as well as the current participant list. Zooming back out, we can see that there are still many notifications here right now for me to focus on. So let's navigate to where my team really needs me right now, which is my mentions filter. An app mention is a pretty high signal event. Someone wants my direct attention and typically requires some sort of response from me. We include mentions as a default filter for you here in the new notifications experience, so you can quickly access where your team needs you most. Here are all the notifications that have had a mention of my name. Thankfully, I look pretty caught up here, but let me quickly dive into one of these to unblock my teammate. Now, with the all-new notifications experience, the complete issue timeline is previewed within the notification experience. This means that while I'm triaging my notifications, I can take action immediately without switching context or slowing down. So for this issue, I'm going to assign myself, add it to my project board, and make sure folks know I'm going to be taking this work on, all within the notification experience with no context switching. Since I'm still working to unblock my team, there's a few other locations I probably need to look at. There are other default filters that we include, such as team mentions, review requests, but for now, I'm going to jump on over to my custom filter for the notifications team to be sure that there's no other work I'm holding up. With the ability to add up to 15 custom filters, I've added one today for my team's product feature work, so I can easily zoom into progress and blockers specific to this feature set. I have a couple of notifications here in this custom filter, but since these notifications all look to be closed or merged, let's just select them all and mark them as done. Awesome. I'm at inbox 0 for this filter. Pretty easy. Since I spent some time cleaning up some of the high signal notifications, my inbox looks to be in a pretty manageable state right now. To further accelerate your triaging workflow, we have a familiar set of keyboard shortcuts to help you take action on any set of notifications. As we continue to build on top of the new notification experience, we're going to continue introducing more shortcuts to further improve your daily experience on GitHub. Now, before we wrap up, I need to check on one of my saved notifications. Save notifications for later allows me to further add a visual treatment to high signal notifications within my inbox. And it gives me an easy way to quickly return to the tasks that I still need to get done. So with that, let's select this one. Here you can see that the team is pretty excited and ready to start shipping this new notifications experience. So how about we get this train rolling, everyone? Sweet. I'm going to let Ryan know that we might need him here to help us out. So let's see if we can ping him and get him on stage.
Thanks, Becca. Hi, everybody. I'm Ryan Nystrom, Director of Engineering here at GitHub, and it is so exciting to be here to share with you a brand new product, and that is GitHub for mobile. That's right. Today, we are announcing new, fully native apps for Android and iOS. Like Nat mentioned earlier, there are over 40 million developers using GitHub today. When GitHub started over 11 years ago, everything revolved around Git. And that meant you needed a computer lugged around with you. Nowadays, we don't just write code. We collaborate as team members, and we review each other's code. Today, it's too hard to keep things moving without a computer. And that's why we built GitHub for mobile. Now, you can truly take GitHub with you anywhere in the world. We put so much care into this app so that it fits your workflow. And I'm really excited to walk you through some of our favorite features. The first thing you'll see when you open GitHub for mobile is the new home screen. Here, you have access to all of your work. At the top, we have issues and pull requests that you created, were assigned to, and more. Jump into repositories and organizations that you interact with. Scroll down, and you'll see a new section we call Favorites. For those of you that contribute to tons of repositories, we added this section so you can pin favorite repositories and jump back into them right from your home screen. Scroll down a little more, and you'll see all the recent activity on issues and pull requests that you created or commented on. It has never been easier to pick up on your work from where you left off on your browser. At the very top of Home, you can tap this plus button and file a new issue to any repository on GitHub. We also have a new tab for your notifications. When you're done with notifications, simply swipe them away. We partnered with the notifications team here at GitHub to build a unified experience everywhere, and that includes iOS, GitHub.com, and Android. All of the amazing features you just saw Becca demo will be available across your devices. Save, done, and so much more. You can find the notifications that you care the most about with filters, either by repository or all the custom filters that you create on GitHub.com. They will sync and go with you across all your devices. Now, one of my favorite features are push notifications. We know some of you get tons of GitHub notifications, and we don't want your phone constantly dinging and buzzing. And it's too easy to miss sometimes the really important ones. We will send you a push notification whenever somebody mentions you in an issue, pull request, or comment. That way, you know it's important. Now let's drill into a pull request. Here, I can see everything I need to know: the author, status, branches, and more. I can scroll down and read comments, reviews, and other timeline activity. And I mentioned before that these apps are all native. And that includes this rich markdown rendering you see behind me. We put a ton of time and care into this to make sure that you get the best possible experience on your phone. If you want to see more information, just swipe up from the bottom. Here you can see reviewers, who it's assigned to, labels, and tons more. If I want to see what changed in this pull request, I can tap into the Files Changed view, and here view all of my code changes in the pull. Again, this is all rendered natively, including this gorgeous syntax highlighting. But we're not done there. You can also swipe up from the bottom and leave a review on any pull request right from your phone. Comment, approve, request changes. It has never been easier to unblock your projects while being nowhere near your desk. Now, if you want to see the status on your pull request, we also include all of that information. You can view if there are if you have approvals, if there are conflicts, and more. If you're ready to go, tap the merge button, and you'll trigger all of your CI or CD from anywhere in the world. I'm telling you, this app makes me feel like I have superpowers, and we are geeking out so much over this thing. And speaking of geeking out, I'm also really excited to bring GitHub into the dark. We built an incredible dark mode experience for both iOS and Android. For you night owls out there, this is way easier on your eyes during those late-night hack sessions. And we didn't just stop with dark mode, but we also built an amazing iPad experience. We didn't just make things bigger, but we built entirely new user interfaces and custom gestures. We even have most of the same keyboard shortcuts you'll find on github.com. This is the best GitHub experience for iPad. Now, we designed our iPhone, iPad, and Android apps to have absolute feature parity. They share a design system, so they look familiar. But at the same time, we want to respect each platform's design conventions. These apps are built native. We want to make sure they feel native, too. So that's just a taste of GitHub for mobile. There are tons more features that I don't have time to go through. GitHub for mobile is the best way to be connected to your work, stay up to date, and keep your projects moving without needing a computer. And all of this is available starting today with a beta on iOS. Just head over to github.com/mobile and sign up. When your invite is ready, you'll receive an email with instructions on how to install. We have an Android beta in the works coming very soon, and you can look for both apps launching together early next year, absolutely for free. And I cannot wait for you to try it. If you're interested in taking more of a deep dive into GitHub for mobile, please be sure to join me later today for a session. Thank you so much. Now back to Nat.
All right. Thank you, Neha, Mario, Becca, and Ryan. What do you all think of all that? Pretty good stuff, right? I'm really excited about putting GitHub in your pocket, and also excited about the huge investments we're making across nearly every aspect of the daily experience, from GitHub Desktop to notifications to code search, code nav, code review. This is something we take really seriously. We know those little moments, those bits of friction, can really drag you down when you're experiencing them again and again and again. And so we'd love to hear your feedback, and we're going to keep making these types of investments. OK, now bringing it back to the heart of GitHub, the open source community. Last May, we introduced a new program called GitHub Sponsors in beta. And GitHub Sponsors allows you to financially support the developers whose work you admire or depend upon in the open source community. And so for an update on GitHub Sponsors, please welcome Devin Zugel. Devin?
Thanks, Nat. Hi, everyone. I'm Devin, the product manager of the open source economy team here at GitHub. We're building GitHub Sponsors because we envision a future where open source is a professional, lucrative career path. These developers maintain our critical digital infrastructure, which is only becoming ever more important every single day. Open source developers build the tools for the rest of us, so it's our job to build the tools that they need to succeed too. As a reminder, Sponsors is a new way to financially support the developers who build the open source software we all use every day. For example, I really admire Mariata's work on the Python core team, and I used to use Python at my old job. So now I can go to her profile, click the sponsor button, and show her my support. With GitHub Sponsors, developers can sponsor each other directly from their everyday workflows. When we launched the beta just a few months ago, we also announced the GitHub Sponsors Matching Fund. Doubling the contributions you make to open source developers jumpstarts the program. Meanwhile, this empowers you, the members of the community, to decide where the funding goes. Developers have already begun doing some amazing things with sponsors. And I've been really excited to see some of the great projects that have been in the program. I was personally thrilled when Daniel Stenberg joined sponsors. He's the founder and lead maintainer of curl. With 10 billion installations worldwide, curl is one of the most widely used software components in the entire world. Like many developers, I've used curl for years, so it was so cool to see someone who I've depended on for a long time find my work useful too. I'm also learning about loads of cool projects that I had never heard about before. I recently stumbled across a profile for a guy named David who has this really cool project. And then in his profile, he said that he's been coding with his voice for 5 years. And that blew my mind because I'm someone who really likes programming, and I also use voice to text all the time, but I had never thought to code with my voice. So I was really excited to check this project out. So we've heard a lot of great feedback from this project throughout this entire summer, and we have seen some amazing things that people have been doing. And it's been really exciting to see people be able to sponsor individual developers. We've also gotten a ton of great feedback. We've gotten feedback that teams want a way to sponsor their work as well. So starting today, teams can receive funding through GitHub sponsors too. If your open source project has a corporate or nonprofit bank account, you can apply to receive funds as a team rather than just as an individual. We're thrilled to partner with amazing open source projects like Homebrew, NumFocus, Babel, the eBook Foundation, and many more as we kick off the beta, and we cannot wait for more to join. You'll see their sponsorships when you go to any of their team's projects or to their organization page. You'll see a sponsor button at the top of the page where you'll be able to see how to sponsor them, whether it's through GitHub sponsors or through other awesome funding tools like Open Collective, Patreon, TideLift, and Community Bridge. Project-level funding is the natural next step for GitHub sponsors, and it gets to the core of what open source is all about. We're all standing on the shoulders of giants. With new features like Meet the Team, project-level funding reflects the deeply collaborative way open source is made. This is still just the beginning, and we are listening closely for more of your feedback. We're committed to helping the community fund developers who work in open source, and we're excited to keep building new ways to make that happen. So head to github.com/sponsors to get started. Thank you all, and thank you especially to the open source developers. You are the heart of the open source community, and we couldn't do any of this without you. Back to you, Nat.
All right. Thank you, Devin. We're really excited about sponsored projects, and I'm really proud of the work that we're doing at GitHub to try to help open source communities continue to thrive. Now, we've been talking this morning about the importance of open source, but to put it in context, and maybe a larger historical context, I wanted to tell you a short story. This is Florence in Italy, and this is the dome of the Florence Cathedral. It's the famous Duomo that was created at the height of the Italian Renaissance. And the story of how it was built is interesting. At the beginning of the 15th century, in 1418, the leaders of Florence set up a contest to find a builder who could create this beautiful dome. And at the time, no one knew how to construct a dome of this scale because no such dome had been created actually since the Roman Empire, since nearly 1,500 years earlier. That engineering knowledge that came from antiquity had been lost. But then a man who was named Filippo Brunelleschi, who lived in Florence and wanted to win the contest, took a trip to Rome. And he went there to study the Roman ruins and some of the ancient texts from Vitruvius and others to rediscover these ancient engineering techniques. And he learned from them, and he was inspired by them, and used what he learned in the construction of this beautiful cathedral. That ancient Roman knowledge that he was able to find in Rome helped power the Italian Renaissance. Now, when we think about our world today, the knowledge required to build a dome is not that different from the knowledge of how to build a container or how to create an accurate machine learning model, or to make an app that works for 1 billion people. There's this long history on Earth of humanity where big things happened without software. Algebra was invented, gunpowder was discovered, empires rose and fell, and that's over. Nothing big will ever happen again without software. It's almost crazy or outlandish to say it, but human progress actually depends on open source. And so the code you write is important. It matters, and it should be preserved. And so at GitHub, we decided we should do something. And to be honest, we might have gotten a little carried away, but let's just see for yourself.
Deep in the Arctic Circle, an archipelago covered in ice, Svalbard, home to the northernmost town in the world, to thousands of polar bears. And it is here you can find the global seed vault. Millions of seeds have been sent here from across the globe for secure long-term storage in cold and dry rock vaults. Just down the road is a decommissioned coal mine that has taken on new life. This is where we will protect open source software for future generations. Deep within the permafrost layer, which can stretch up to 400 meters thick, we will store the world's open source software on silver halide film. The data is encoded on frames with 8.8 million pixels each and designed to last over 1,000 years. In our initial deposit, we archive thousands of the world's most depended on open source projects. The work of hundreds of thousands of developers from around the world. We will return next spring, during the perpetual light of the midnight sun, to deposit every active public repository on GitHub for safekeeping in the GitHub Arctic Code Vault.
All right, wow. A little bit crazy, we know. So 2 weeks ago, we traveled to Svalbard to deposit the most popular and most depended upon open source projects into the GitHub Arctic Code Vault, and they're there now. And the beauty of this place is just stunning. It's so remote. There's fewer than 3,000 people that live in Svalbard. But we actually met a number of GitHub users there, using open source software to drive scientific instruments and interpret their data to study the aurora borealis. And I think one of them's here somewhere, Katie, wherever you are. And so it turns out software is everywhere. Even this crazy remote place runs on open source. And so this is our code vault. And to make sure that your code is included, all you need to do is have an active public repo by February 2nd of next year. We will snapshot every repo that's been active in the prior year on that date and store it in Svalbard. Now, this effort was inspired by many people, and especially inspired by generations of people who have made archiving their life's work. Archivists are so important. And so this actually, the GitHub Arctic Code Vault is just one piece of the work we're doing to preserve and protect open source for developers who are here today and for developers yet to come. And the broader effort we call the GitHub Archive Program. And I'm really happy to announce that we've partnered with many of the people and the organizations that inspired us who are dedicated to preserving knowledge to make sure that we store the actual code in different locations, in different storage media around the world. Lots of copies keep stuff safe. And so a few of our partners are actually here today the Internet Archive, talking about how the Wayback Machine will give you full access to GitHub, the Arctic World Archive, Software Heritage Foundation, Long Now, Stanford, and Microsoft Research, which is developing Project Silica, which is a 10,000-year storage medium. So they'll be here on the main stage at 4:15. Don't miss it. All right. It has been an action-packed morning. Let's recap what we went through today. We've talked about how we added a complete code-to-cloud DevOps platform to GitHub with GitHub Actions and GitHub Packages. We've shown you the investments we're making in the daily experience of using GitHub, including native mobile apps, new notifications experience, and much more. And we created sponsored organizations and the GitHub Archive program to ensure that open source can thrive and be preserved for years to come. Tomorrow, you're going to hear about the work we're doing to secure software development and the open source supply chain from end to end. And you'll hear from a number of our great partners. OK, finally, I want to say a big thanks to everyone at GitHub for their incredibly hard work and energy and love that's been poured into everything you've seen here today. They've just put themselves into it. I'm really grateful to them. And I want to say thanks to all of you for joining us today, and I hope you enjoy the conference. Thank you.